Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the cusp of the United States of America, the largest economy in the world and the most powerful nation in the world, fully embracing and adopting crypto. And despite us facing that very real proposition, and we're going to start the video off there, sentiment is pretty bad for the cryptocurrency space. Retail interest is very low. However, we are committed to bringing you daily updates to make sure people stay focused on the task and opportunity at hand. That is the entire innovation and overhaul and bringing on chain of the financial world and systems more broadly. And crypto is going to enable that and be worth tens of trillions of dollars as a result of it. So we are going to be kicking the video off there on the topic of certainly getting full legislation by potentially the end of next month, being June. We could have more sort of legislation passed at the start of June. But by the end of June, we should have a full regulatory framework to embrace crypto for payments. And actually some related news to that is, of course, Circle. They're pursuing an IPO. However, Coinbase and Ripple are both interested. I think Ripple would very much have a monopoly if they manage to take over Circle. We'll see. I also want to highlight the fact that BlackRock literally just continued to gobble up Bitcoin despite retail's panic. We'll look at some technicals on Bitcoin. And then we'll get into a little bit of Cardano drama. Charles Hoskinson getting accused of essentially theft. As far as I'm concerned, this is fake. There's no validity to this rumor. But I've had a lot of people ask me about it. It's worth covering. We'll look at his official response to it all. So, despite us being on the cusp of something monumental, an entire evolution of money. The money itself is evolving in the form of stablecoins, and we'll come on to that in just a second. Despite all of the positivity, all of the landmarks, all of the land grabs that are being taken by the cryptocurrency space, retail really is not that interested. We're very much back to sort of just slightly higher than bear market low levels. And I think that's bullish in my opinion, because you don't really want to be into something when everybody else is. You want to kind of get into it before everybody else gets interested. And once, you know, there's that meme out there, isn't there, where it says like, you know, Bitcoin at 20K and the queue's non-existent, and then Bitcoin at 100K and the queue's out the door. You know, I think that very much applies with many of the altcoins and where they currently are right now. We are looking at a full regulatory framework for crypto that essentially is going to pass within weeks. Now, by the start of next week, or the first week of next month, we are going to have further voting and potentially the passing fully of the Genius Act. The Genius Act, by the way, we got some comments saying that it didn't pass yesterday. It did indeed pass the initial sort of procedure so that it can actually get voted on. We made that very clear. We read out the official documents from the Senate. Not sure what the disgruntled nature was about to me saying that the Genius Act had passed that first stage. I think it just sort of reflects the kind of frustration as it relates to the cryptocurrency markets. This has been an interesting bull market. I'd say generally it has been a bull market. For the altcoin sector, you know, they've not really performed in the manner that people perhaps would have expected, but in my opinion, they will. You know, I look at certain cryptocurrencies and I just honestly couldn't get enough of them. But let's talk about this. So we're going to dive into a clip from Fox that essentially interviewed the individual who's essentially behind this act or looking to get it forward. And what he has to say is nothing short of bullish. Let's dive into this.
Lawmakers just advanced the Genius Act, which would legitimize the stable coin. Senator, next up, I believe, is your legislation, which is a full regulatory overhaul of crypto. You think we're going to get to... My contact in D.C. says she thinks you might get to that vote on the full bill in the first week of June. Is that possible?
I think it could be even sooner than that. I think we have broad agreement from a policy standpoint between Democrats and Republicans. We had a good evening last night, and I think there are actually a number of other folks that aren't on the bill just yet that will become supportive of it. So I feel very good about where we're going. The momentum is very positive right now. All the feedback I've had since last night has been extremely positive. So we're going to be working at pace this week, Stuart. We might even get it done this week. That would be great if we could.
Can I ask you what the stablecoin would do for our financial system?
Well, certainly it puts our financial system and our payment system more specifically into the modern times. What we rely upon today was designed in the 70s and 80s. This is a chance to completely modernize our payment system to make sure that the innovation that's happening around the entire industry stays here in America. And importantly, Stuart, because the stablecoin is dollar denominated, that will perpetuate the dollar's position, dollar's dominance as the reserve currency of the world. And it will also increase demand for treasury bills here in America, which is a good thing as well.
Can you explain that? I need to explain that. Why would it increase demand for treasury securities, treasury bills and bonds?
Because the stablecoin legislation requires that each dollar stablecoin be backed fully by either a dollar in cash or short-term treasuries. To do that, the stablecoin issuer has to go and purchase short-term treasuries. Already, stablecoin issuers are large owners of treasuries, and by 2030, Citi projects that stablecoin issuers will be the largest owner of U.S. treasuries in the world.
Do you envisage the day when I can go to my broker and say, right, buy me X number of stablecoin and keep it in my account?
Absolutely, you'll be able to do that almost instantaneously. And again, the payment system is there. We just need to give a legal framework for it to thrive here in America. Otherwise, we'll see what's been happening. It's going to keep moving offshore. This is a better way for us to protect consumers, and it's certainly a better way for us to make certain that America remains the hotbed of competition and innovation in this space.
It seems to me that that would be this is a big win for the crypto business, but I'm surprised to see Bitcoin and Ethereum actually losing a little ground today. But Senator, no, go ahead, sir.
No, I was going to say, if you think about it, this is great for dollar dominance as well. That we've seen a slight erosion, but this is going to make certain that the dollar is the currency of choice around the world because that's where all the digital trading is going to go. And again, enhancing the demand for treasuries helps us, particularly at a time when we're trying to work this deficit down.
Very interesting. Basically saying a lot of what we've already said. You know, the US is going to adopt crypto. It's going to be these distributed public ledgers that ultimately are the rails, just like you have a kind of public internet comprised of many large companies out there, some private, some public. Crypto's on a similar trajectory, and I think really we're looking at legislation being voted on and passed in the next couple of weeks, and I think that's insanely bullish. And talking about stable coins, there is a bit of a sort of rumor mill right now. Circle obviously pursuing an IPO, but talks with Coinbase and Ripple could mean a sale source size. I think Ripple have already offered, I think it was $4 billion. We'll see. Circle Internet Financial, the issuer of the crypto stablecoin USDC, filed paperwork in early April to go forward with its long-awaited initial public offering. There is a chance, though, that Circle's IPO won't come to fruition since the company has recently taken part in informal talks to sell itself to Coinbase Global, the largest crypto exchange in the US, or to crypto payment company Ripple, according to 4 banking and private equity executives. These people, who asked not to be identified in order to comment on the private negotiation, said Circle is seeking at least $5 billion, which is the valuation and it's targeting for its IPO. We shall see. I'm a big Coinbase holder, as you all know, from a stock point of view, and I have been for a while. It'd be really bullish for my Coinbase shares, and certainly bullish for XRP and Ripple if they won. USDC, as far as I can see, is going to be the premier sort of stable coin, if you will. It is the digital dollar, essentially, and I'm investing in a lot of the cryptocurrencies, or one particularly that essentially is the main backer of that, if you will, from a treasury point of view, but also one of the most used in terms of facilitating USDC. Let's talk about the fact that BlackRock continue to just gobble up Bitcoin. And this is very obvious whilst they're kind of flooding retail out. Top Bitcoin holders, obviously, you've got Satoshi Nakamoto. I mean, that would be interesting if his wallet ever woke up. BlackRock, Binance, Strategy, Grayscale, Fidelity, US government, Chinese government, Upbit, Block One, Bitfinex, Kraken, and Robinhood. Now, I don't necessarily, Bitcoin is really the people's money, yet the institutions have taken full advantage of it while selling you the narrative that it's the people's money. BlackRock second only to Satoshi, total BTC held now 57% of the way there to becoming world's biggest, probably by the end of next summer. Wow. So Eric Balchunas is reckoning this is only going to continue. That's a bullish formula. Although if BTC hits 150K in the next few months, we possibly see a feeding frenzy from advisors, which would shorten the time frame dramatically. And this is just a constant trend in line with Bitcoin's trend. Technically, you guys know what I think. This has been a technical beauty for us. The last thing that we looked at was really this sort of falling wedge. It just played out brilliantly. You ran into highs. I reckon you push through this and you see a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here and ultimately start to head to that 136K, which is going to align with the kind of feeding frenzy that Eric Balchunas is talking about there. And remember, we're still yet to see legislation that even allows the crypto asset class more broadly to become that and to embrace that. Charles Hoskinson coming under a bit of scrutiny due to some sort of media outlets claiming certain things about him facing $600 million worth of treasury fraud claims. I believe this was from one individual on Twitter that essentially put this forward. And it goes back to the days when Cardano had sold, or they kind of IPO'd or ICO'd with vouchers in Japan. It all took place in Japan, and there's kind of claims that that wasn't done correctly. I can't see any substance to them as of right now. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson was attacked by fake headlines claiming a 600 million ADA theft. He strongly denies the accusations, saying he's deeply hurt by the distrust coming from the community. An audit is currently underway to clear things up and address the false claims. And you can see these were some of the headlines. Not great. I'm disgusted by the conduct of the crypto media. Any semblance of objective or fair reporting has been thrown out the window in favor of maximal viral clickbait. Welcome to the internet, by the way. This is how it goes. The facts are that every party connected to the ADA voucher redemption has publicly stated there is no fraud. No allegations came from any law enforcement, regulatory bodies, lawsuits, or buyers. The person alleging misconduct has no connection to inside knowledge of the sale or processes, and there is an audit underway from the BDO to explain the sales. Any credible media agency giving these facts would understand that it's fundamentally irresponsible to propagate news suggesting the possibility of massive theft. The headlines I've seen are beyond damaging. They will require months, if not years, of work and millions of dollars to undo post-audit. Yep, not great. That's the internet for you, though. People can make whatever allegations that they want. Lions, I believe, shouldn't pay too much mind to gazelles. They don't, in fact. Why does a lion care what a gazelle thinks? I think the fact that he's even entertaining all of this due to somebody basically tweeting that something with not much proof says a lot. And in regards to him sort of bashing media, you know, we've covered Cardano for years. We've been one of the only people covering it consistently. We've had zero love from any of the Cardano associated entities or individuals. In fact, we can't even get an interview whilst they give interviews to the very media that's kind of stifled them and being critical, because it's a circle jerk game and the whole industry is very fake. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. That's what we've got for you in the daily market update. We're on the cusp of something monumental, ladies and gentlemen. Don't lose sight of that. The markets will rise, in my opinion. It's just a matter of when, not if at this point. You just got to be in it to win it. That's it from me, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I'll see you all in the next one.